four corners of the earth, we are preach God's word in various places. And from in the darkest night right to the daylight, we give praises. So we give praises. Now on everyday topics, well, you know we come for shine some light using godly principles. Yes, that's right. On the straight and the narrow path, that's where we go. Welcome to the DayeLight Show.
Welcome back to the DayeLight Show, and we are in season 3, and we are super excited for the amazing interviews that we have been having this season. Now, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I am a book coach, I'm a publisher, and I've never done an episode about anything have to do with what I do. And that makes no sense, right? Because I'm sure many of you, our viewers, maybe have thought about writing a book at some time, or maybe you're an author and you have been watching, and yes, the interviews have been blessing you, I'm sure, but I'm sure that this interview, of course, will bless you even more, because we are talking about what is becoming an author looking like. Particularly our topic, I have two of my clients here to talk about how becoming an author has changed their life. So I'm looking forward to this conversation, of course, mainly because I love talk about books. So I know, again, that this will bless you. So welcome back to MTM and the DayeLight Show with yours truly, Crystal Daye. Now, I want to say welcome to Mellisa Carter. Welcome, Linton. Mellisa Carter, Linton. Welcome to the DayeLight Show, Mellisa.
Thank you for having me.
And what about you, Mellisa Dunkley Smith? I am super excited to have you both in studio today to talk about your authorship journey. So, welcome again, Mellisa.
Thank you so much. I am honored to be here.
All right. So, of course, my other clients, if you're watching this, know that I love you all. I could have picked all of you all, but I just, as I was led, invited these two ladies to just share their journey. And again, I believe that I've seen just them, both of them just moving from this shy, insecure to an extent, just ladies to just becoming these powerhouse women, author CEOs. And, I've just watched their journey, and I really do believe that it will inspire you as they share their message. So Mellisa first, welcome. Tell them a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Mellisa Carter Linton, as Ms. Daye has stated before, and I'm the author of the book From Bitterness to Bitterness, Principles to Change Your Outlook on Life. Prior to being an author, I was a shy and lacked self-confidence. But what was a turning point for me, was when I had a near-death experience, and I decided that I was not going to live in the shadows anymore or suffer anymore from the scars I endured in childhood. So I made a change to move forward.
All right, so we get a little bit more into that. What about you, Mellisa?
All right, so my name is Mellisa Dunkley Smith, author of the 21-day devotional Strong Girl Get Up. This book was written to help women overcome adversity. When you're going through those difficult days, everybody needs some inspiration. I am author, as I said before, speaker, certified life coach. I am a mother and also a wife, and I love to inspire women to overcome adversity and to become the best, the most resilient version of themselves. And the turning point for me, I was very insecure, and I was also a big procrastinator. But after doing a personal development course, I realized that I was made for more, and so I want to help women with my gifts.
I love it. So I hope that you guys know, since you have been watching the show, but if you haven't, again, I started my journey as an author in 2016, I believe. Well, I started writing my book in 2015 when I was hosting my first conference, which is the She's Royal Women's Conference, and the Lord gave me the theme, Living a Royal Reality. And as I was preparing, he said that this is a book. And I'm like, I don't even know where to start to write a book, but as a leading of the Holy Spirit, the book was written. I got a publisher, and within like 48 hours of the book being released, I became an Amazon bestseller within a month. More than 800 copies were sold. And for me, even though I've always been on this journey of self-discovery and personal development, I believe that my life change in a way I didn't expect when I become an author. And one of the things I always share with the authors is that if you embrace your authorship journey as not just, something you do, but as a calling, as a ministry, and as a business, I believe that your life can change. So I want to start with Mellisa, right? I want you to talk to them a little bit about what really inspired you to write this book and what was the journey of becoming an author look like for you.
All right. So the inspiration to write the book Strong Girl Get Up came from, I was the friend who my friends look up to for encouragement. And so one day I got a text message from one of my friends saying she was on the edge. She was on the verge of giving up. And so after sending her some encouragement, she messaged me a couple hours after to say that she now have a new outlook on life. And I said, wow, if I can encourage her to have a new meaning of life, then I could write a book to encourage other women who are going through the same struggles. And there was a second part to the question.
Yeah, it's more, okay, and what was that journey writing like? Because I think, if I remember correctly, you had done the devotional. So tell them a little bit about.
All right, so the journey to writing, as I said before, because I was a big procrastinator,
Good.
and because of that, I was always doubting myself and I wasn't consistent. But doing the masterclass with Crystal, I said, this is the time. I have to do this now because the women out there are waiting to get the message so that they can get their breakthrough.
I love it. And like she mentioned, so this was during the pandemic, I believe it was 2020.
Yes, 2020.
And everybody's home, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do write a devotional challenge because I do have a course called Write a Devotional in 7 days. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just jump. Let us do a writing retreat, a virtual writing retreat, and a few women came on, and we sat down and we just outlined our books. And, most of them, if I remember correctly, probably only 1 or 2 persons haven't published, but out of probably about 15 women that morning, that day, most persons, I would say about 13 persons did bring their book to life. So to God be the glory for that. Mellisa, talk to us. And Mellisa, like, why did I do this to myself? Mellisa, what about you?
Well, prior to writing a book, I used to enter the JCDC essay writing competition. I would have received 3 bronze medals in that competition. But what was the inspiration for writing this book was actually some personal challenges that I was going through at the time. I wanted to leave a legacy for my children. I wanted to reach a particular bestseller list. And that traumatic experience I had spoken about earlier, having that near-death experience.
So what was the process of writing like?
Well, so the process of writing, it took me a few months to write. And because, as I stated before, I wrote essays and those would have been shorter. So I had to get a coach. I actually prayed that the Lord would send me a publisher, and I found you. He sent you when I found you. So with your help, the coaching I got, I outlined my chapters and I was able to write with your guidance and produce this.
I love it. So when it comes on to being an author though, I love for you, because I said for me, my life changed. Like, even though I was speaking a little bit before, there is something that happened when I became an author. I started to see myself differently. I didn't just, because the truth is, statistics says that more than 80% of the population wants to write a book, but 8% do. So just 8% of the person who desire. So even though for some of us, we're like, oh, but we see a lot of authors, only because we're in that space. Because if you remember correctly, before you came into the space, it felt like you didn't see, it was only popular people. So when I became an author, I just saw opportunities open, but also I felt like my own mindset elevated, because I could now see myself like here, like on TV, on radio, just so many opportunities open up. What about you? What would you say are probably the top 2 biggest change that you saw in your life in terms of transformation when you became an author? Mellisa.
Well, since I became an author, my confidence has grown. I am now here sitting on the set of the DayeLight Show So that's a very big thing for me, because before I was on quiet and in the backgrounds. And I've also have the opportunity now to impact others with my story. So those two things in particular would have helped me.
Okay, so for you is the confidence and the impact. Anything else? What about what did you find for you, like spiritually? Anything you felt an increase, like anything else? Because for me, like there's so many changes I remember happening. Anything else for you before we move on?
So since I became an author, I've seen the Lord open new doors for me, new opportunities for me to grow, and our relationship has gotten better because I have to spend more time reading His Word so I can impart that knowledge to the people.
Okay. What about you, Mellisa?
All right, so I'm happy you touch on mindset, because for me, moving from that insecure person to now this purpose-driven motivator, I had to reframe my thoughts. So when the limiting self-beliefs come, I had to reframe those with what the Word of God says about me. And so I can definitely say that now, since becoming an author, I am now living my God-given purpose.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're talking about authorship on this episode of the DayeLight Show, not just because, it's something I do, but because I really do believe that this is a calling from the Lord. And I remember recently attending a client's book launch and just being there and hearing, I think about 4 persons in that room were clients of mine that would have published books before. And I remember just standing there, just feeling very teary-eyed, like, look at what my yes to first becoming an author and then now becoming a publisher and a coach. And for somebody that's watching, I'm always advocating for those of us who feel called to make an impact in people's life. Writing a book is probably is the number one way for you to leave that impact, but leave that legacy. And if you want to grow personally, I tell you that becoming an author, between the warfare that comes with writing, between this financial sacrifice that you have to make to become an author, but in the end, ladies, would you say it's been worth it?
Yes.
It's been worth it?
Definitely worth it.
So we're going to go on our first break, and of course we have our book of the week. Again, we want you to go on Amazon, Kindle, wherever books are sold, to go and support the authors who support this show. And of course, at the end, we will have some businesses that will feature, and we want you to go and support the Kingdom businesses that is supporting this show. So again, we'll be back in a few minutes here on the DayeLight Show.
Principles, yes, that's right. On the straight and the narrow path, that's where we go. Welcome to the DayeLight Show. The DayeLight Show. Welcome to the DayeLight Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the DayeLight Show. And this week we are talking about authorship and how becoming an author has changed our lives. And while I have my guests, Mellisa and Mellisha, here with me to talk about, their experiences as not just as authors, but also they'll share, their honest opinion of being a client of mine. But we'll talk about that a little bit. But even as I thought, I'm sitting here thinking about the fact that I have my own talk show. Listen, this is a big deal because I always tell people, I remember graduating from high school and I was nominated as valedictorian, and I tell them I will never be seen speaking in public. I prefer not to go to the graduation than to go and speak. And to know that no, I'm an international speaker being booked all over the world to come and speak, getting paid to speak. You know, I remember in primary school, the teacher used to charge me to speak. Every time I speak, I have to pay $10. Like, it's funny. But, you know, when you surrender to God and choose obedience over, you know, your feelings, this is what has produced the results. And I do believe that for many of you are right that are watching this, that have not decided to become an author yet and you have it in your mind, I'm hoping that this episode will bless you, because it really has just reminded me about the faithfulness of God. So, ladies, for me, being an author, yes, you know, it's nice to make money, it's nice to get a chance to go and speak and do book signings. But for me, when I get, you know, when I read those Amazon reviews, or when somebody come to me that don't know me, or, you know, they say, Crystal, like, you don't even know what this book has done for me. And it feels like everything else, no matter what you have gone through, would have been worth it. Have you guys have any experience like that where anybody would have come and say, you know, like, what's the most memorable experience that you have had so far in terms of, you know, a reader? Mellisa.
All right, so I remember this lady reached out to me and she said that she loved the book. She started to share how her ex-husband used to tell her all kind of bad things and how she have discovered her self-worth after reading the book.
I love that. So beautiful. What about you, Mel?
Right. So a feedback I got from someone is that the book, after reading my book, she was able to go back into her past and look at her life and say it's similar, and, you know, make peace with your past.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And that's important what both of you say, because even though as Christian women, what you find is that sometimes we don't know who we are in terms of our self-worth, our identity. And like you said, you know, just reconciling that the past is just the past, and we have God has an amazing plan for our lives. And I believe that book changed lives. You know, a book can change life, but it won't change a life if you don't write it. Yes. So with that being said, though, what about challenges? What are some of the challenges that you have had, you know, as an author, in terms of, you know, anything, challenges that you have experienced? And whichever one wants to go first.
All right, I think the hardest part for me is asking for the book sale, asking for the sale, yes. I am still navigating, you know, how to meet new people, tell them what I do, and ask for the sale. Also, being on social media all the time, I am not a social butterfly, and so I would prefer to stay in my little space. But yes, becoming an author means that I have to go out there and tell people what I do and let them know that I'm an expert in my field.
And since you have been doing that, though, especially this year when you joined the Author CEO, so here's the thing. I know I met Mellisa in about 2017, 2016, or 2017. She has been coming to my events, but she wasn't a client outside of, you know, doing like little master classes and stuff. And, you know, I remember saying to her last year that you need to be a part of my academy. I tell you a little bit more about academy. And I'm like, are you going to come back next year and be the same place? And she's like, yes, coach, I'm going to join. No, I'm very proud of you, because even recently in June, you had the Read Caribbean month and you were interviewing authors, and, you know, just to see her just come out of her comfort zone, it's just been such a blessing for me. So putting yourself out there and selling, how have you seen, like, since you have been pushing yourself to do this, what are some of the positive feedback, or, you know, what are some of the advantages you have found for yourself to do that?
All right, so since being in the Author CEO Academy, I must say that I am more confident. I am putting myself out there more. I've been featured in magazines, on persons' YouTube channels. And it's just amazing to see the work that the Lord is doing in and through me. And I have to say a big up to the Author CEO Academy, because I've always known that I'm made for more, but I felt like the time was right. And I say, you know, and I would have seen the testimonies from the other authors who have been there and are doing their thing. When I look at Mellisha, I look at persons like Donna, And I say, wow, I want to be a part of that.
I love it. What up, Mel?
Well, I'm glad I inspired you.
I know, right? I mean, you are actually inspiring more people than you know. Because again, I remember I know she don't mind me telling the story. I remember Mellisa reaching out to me for her first consultation to write the book. And I mean, I can be a little bit tough as a coach. So I'm like, listen, this is what you need to do. This is what, and I remember specifically saying to her that I need a professional headshot. And she's like, but coach, I don't like take pictures. I says, I'm not going to publish the book. And, I remember she taking the picture and, I mean, she would always share the picture of her first headshot comparing to now. And now you see this bright smile and you're like, this is what the Lord has done. So I'm very, very proud of you. But what about you? What are some of the challenges that you have faced since you have become an author? And, how have you been overcoming that?
Well, like Mellisa said, the challenge is, asking for the sale and to be consistent in pursuing marketing and also to be on social media. As Mellisa said, I'm not used to being on social media, so that is a challenge for me. And one of the challenges I also have is to push myself some more. I think I need some more focus in that area.
I love it. And I'm again, they're being a little bit modest, but with Mellisha, I remember in last year, she was on her first radio interview,
right,
and it was just like on the spot, on the spot, and she was prepared for it. And another thing, earlier this year, she was able to do a speaking engagement at her office, and it means that people are watching. Like sometimes you don't realize because, you might get 1 or 2 likes on social media and you're like, oh, but nobody noticed. But your office would have asked you to give a motivational speech to your coworkers. That's a big deal. Yes. That's a big deal for a big organization like that to trust you to come. So, ladies, I want you to share quickly to somebody that is kind of iffy about becoming an author, not quite sure, maybe feeling like their message is not good enough, they're not ready yet. I'd love for you to share a quick encouragement with them.
All right. So for me, being a part of the Author CEO Academy has helped me to build my brand globally. Now I have persons reaching out from overseas for me to be a part of their podcast. I've been able to increase my book sales. So now I am coming from no book sales to constantly selling at least 8 books every month. Yes, so I talk about the income, increased income. I talk about the impact, being able to build my brand globally.
Oh, and she's also having a conference, her first conference later this year. So, you can check out my social media page because, of course, I'll share that. Or you can, when you follow her, you can definitely check that out because her first conference is coming out in November also.
Yes. So look out for that. I will be sharing on my social media platforms about my upcoming conference this November.
All right. And what about you? Encouragement?
Yes, for anybody that wants to write a book, I say you start. Call Crystal Daye. She's the best. She's the best publisher. She's the best book coach around. And yes, the world needs to hear your story. Just like I didn't think mine was important, but I'm impacting lives. So you need to get it done.
Oh, look at her. I love it. So for somebody that's watching, I want, as this is the final question for now. I know that you have mentioned, yes, working with Crystal is a good experience, etc. But I want, honestly, like, what one prompted you to decide to work with me, and 2, like, give them specific stuff, like specifics, results that you have had since coaching with me or just being coached by me.
So for me, watching Crystal from about 2014, I would have known that she's an expert in this book business. She's an excellent coach. And so, I said, I want to be a part of that. Yes. And so I know that if I work with her, I can get to my next level.
I love it. Your honest just feedback on what has my experience really been working with me? Like, how was your life change since working with me, and what prompted you to decide to work with me?
So first of all, when I decided that I needed to write a book, I prayed and asked the Lord to send me a publisher. I didn't know where to find one. And I happened to be on social media and I found Miss Daye's profile and I called her. And I knew that she was a person that I should work with because she was an answered prayer. So that is why I know that she's a person that I should work with.
And how has your life changed?
And my life has changed significantly. I am a certified empowerment coach. I coach with through Miss Daye, and I'm an international author. I have my own website, and these are things I never saw for myself prior to writing a book or engaging with Miss Daye.
I love it. I love it. So we are at the end. Like, I hate how quickly time run by because I'm really enjoying this conversation. But like they would have shared, I really do believe that what I do, this is what God has called me to do for sure. Especially being a coach is a calling for me, and I really take it. They know that I take it very serious. And when I push my clients, is because I see more in them. And I tell persons, I don't work with people I don't believe in. If you have a consultation with me and I don't feel in my spirit that I can assist or I'm the best person for them, ask them. Like many clients know, I tell them, you're not ready to write a book, or you're not ready to work with somebody like me. Like, I'm honest because God is going to keep me accountable for it, for what he has called me to do. So again, making a plea, if you're out there, you want to write a book, or if you're a published author already, I do have different programs that you can work with me. So if you're a writer or you just have an idea, I do have a boot camp that you can work with. If you're a published author, we do have the Author CEO Academy. Shout out to the like they're family by their own, right? They don't even need me most of the time because they're a family. Like they have really gotten the opportunity to be a family. So I love that. And of course, we offer publishing services, and I do offer one-on-one. In October, I have the Speak to Paid Bootcamp. So for those of you who desire to become a paid speaker and to get paid doing what you are called and love to do, I would love for you to come to Speak to Pay, or just book me as a one-on-one client. So with that being said, that is it. Thank you again, ladies. Look at them like they know how proud I am of them, because you'd have to had to be there to know them from before. And I'm sure your family and your church family and so many people continue to just be so proud of you guys for stepping out. So thank you for allowing me to serve you. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes. All right, so that's it for this week on the DayeLight Show. I hope that you have been blessed by this episode talking about Alting Books, legacy, impact, income, and we pray that you'll be here next Thursday for another amazing episode here on the DayeLight Show on MTM TV. Join us, and of course, if you have not gotten a chance yet, subscribe to the MTM channel, the YouTube channel, so that you can watch the replay. So even if you miss it on the station, you can watch the replay at any time. Go and follow me on social media. Go and follow Mellisa and Mellisha. Honestly, I love reading Mellisha weekly posts. So she makes a post, and she also sent her email list, so you can check out their email list. Really, really inspiring. She's such a strong writer, and of course, I'm looking forward to the conference in November also. So that's it for this week. We are out.
That's where we go. Welcome to the DayeLight Show.